How y'all doing?
We back in the building. Well,
Yep.
our
We
building.
back.
Woo, child. So listen, let me put out our disclaimer. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, like the page, share it. We want everybody to come in and enjoy what we're given. So if you want to learn, because we gotta get back to the basics. We get all discombobulated. So let's get back to the basics. We're gonna reset the room, how they say it in Clubhouse.
So we didn't get all discombobulated. What had happened was that we had a special election last week, and so we were in straight, politic mode. One of the things that we found that we know is important is like down ballot candidates. And so since we had a special election in District 20, the district in which I live, we focused the last few months of the show dealing with District 20 candidates, right? And so that's what we did. So it wasn't like we didn't lose sight of what it is that we were doing. That's part of what the show was all about, because we understand how important elections are, and elections have consequences. And so we focused on that, in which we needed to do. And so we have to congratulate Sheila Sheffield McCormick. Certified her as the congressperson. It was going to be Congresswoman Sheila Sheffield McCormick for District 20. So she's going to Washington, D.C. to represent my interests, because I'm in District 20, and and all of the other residents of District 20. So we wish her well and much success. She's still going to have to be in campaign mode, because the primaries for that same seat is in August 2022. So she has about a good 10 months to put in that work. And while putting in that work, also campaigning to seek re-election for that seat.
Right. So yes. So she did win, and we congratulate her, and we will support her. And as with all elected officials, you support as well as you hold accountable. So we are looking for good things from Mrs. McCormick, and we are excited for her in her new role as Congresswoman for District 20. So congratulations.
So third time was a charm. Because she ran against Elsie twice in 2018, 2020, and she was successful in this moment. So
and congratulations, Congressman McCormick, and we look forward to your tenure, and wish you nothing but the best in your new position. If you're with us for the first time, we just want to let you know what we do here. So if you want to learn how to participate in the political process as a Black American but aren't very political, this is the show for you. We will talk about all things race and races, elections, legislation, and we will keep you all up to date, informed, and give you actionable items to do on your own to help facilitate your political participation. We are on Facebook and YouTube. We want you to like, share, and subscribe. We want you to like and share our Facebook page. And what we've started to do is put our link in the chat if you want to hop on with us and talk with us, depending on what we're talking about and what the context and all that other stuff. So we are open to everyone, although we may have our own ideology, but we are not a group of people that are one-sided with things. We are open-minded, and we talk to everybody, whether we agree or disagree. We're all in together. So let's just dive right in. Okay. Legislation session starts in January. However, there was a emergency session that was called for by the governor because he passed a bill that
wasn't it like two of them? I heard two. It was okay.
It was two. The second one, I'm not too sure what it was on, but it has something to do with employees being found out when they file a complaint against their employer. And I'm not sure what the whole thing was. And so I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not sure about it. But what I am sure about is the one bill that it was a Representative All Gray. I got to get her name, and I'll get it for next week so you all can know who that was. Her bill basically wanted to penalize, or it passed in the House. I believe it was basically objecting to the federal mandate that was given by the president in terms of employers basically telling their employees either you take the shot or you don't work here. Or they have some companies have alternative ways saying, okay, well, if you don't take the shot, you would have to take the test every week, or take a COVID test every week and show a negative COVID test, and or if you don't take the shot, you can't work here. So Florida decided that they wanted to break rank, right, and say, well, we just not gonna follow the mandate.
Don't tell us what to do.
And that bill passed in the House.
It did.
Yes, it did. It passed in the House 79 to 38. Now, what that means is 79 of your Republican people.
Was it no any Democrats voted for it? Are we sure that it was straight along party lines? It may not have been, though, because I don't think it's 79
and 17. And how many do we have? Well, it depends now. How many do we have in?
Because I don't think it's on. I don't think, because you said it's 79 and 38.
I think it was. I want to say the last. Well, it was a total of 117. They did the check to make sure that they had quorum. So 79 was yes. Whatever the remainder is, was. I got to do the math.
Okay.
You're right. It may not have been all the Republicans. You're right. It could be
some Democrats. Because one of the concerns that I heard, some of the arguments that were made was that they were afraid that law enforcement officers was going to quit their job and leave their positions because they refused to get vaccinated. And then there's other people who were willing to like leave their positions because they didn't want to get vaccinated. So they will, we already have like a labor shortage for all different types of reasons, and so that seemed to be one of the concerns. But I know, like, I heard part of what Rep Dottie Joseph said, and she was saying, like, how is it that the governor is going to tell local cities and municipalities how to run their their place, right? And that was an issue of concern. And basically, by the governor making a decision like that, they interfering on how local officials can run their cities.
Listen, she talked about it being.
You saw more of it than I did, so you might,
that's
the part I saw.
She talked about the hypocrisy being palatable. She also talked about the intellectual inconsistency of
that happening.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put the link in the chat of the see, that link didn't come out the way I wanted to, but I'm gonna try to see if I can put a better link in there. But I behoove all of you who watch this show to go to www.myfloridahouse.gov and be able to look at, they live stream these meetings. Yes, it can get kind of mundane.
I put it in there.
Oh, thank you. But that's our link to jump on the show. That's not our
Isn't
link.
That what you want them to do?
No. I was giving them the link to go to the Florida house
to watch it. Okay.
To watch it, yeah. I think it's important that people who have an opportunity to do that, take a look, because you will see the people who are representing you in action. And you can always, check out the other side and see what they're doing. That's another way that will cause you to be participate politically, right? But I'm gonna put the websites in the chat so we can so you all can have access to it. But I think it's imperative that when you have a time, and they're recorded so you can go back and look at them. So if you have like a Saturday you're not really doing much, go check those out. Really informative. And even if you don't understand what's going on, you can kind of get the gist of what's going on. So they passed it today in the House. It's supposed to be almost certainly passed in the Senate, because that's something Governor DeSantis really wanted. And that's where we're at in terms of breaking rank with the rest of the country and not following the federal mandate. So
I'm sure there's some other states that are doing it too, but I think it's the same players, Texas, a lot of the southern states that just I don't know why they think it makes sense to do things that are not in the best interest of their constituents.
That's why it's important to learn who your representatives are, your local and your statewide representatives, because and the reason why it's important to know other representatives in other counties in Florida is because they make decisions on Floridians' everyday lives, and just because they're in Ocala doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Yes, it does. And so it's important to know who the players are, what their track records look like. And so you can effectively have a conversation and or send emails and or advocate against things that is detrimental to your community. So
because one of the things they always say is like, well, no one said anything to us, right? They're like, well, we didn't know, nobody said anything. So that's one of the things that we as voters, we need to not only let our elected officials know, we need to know, just go around the state and call them all and let them know what we're thinking. Absolutely. Because they all have a vote. So they can't, if we are making an effort to reach out and speak to them, they can't come with that excuse like, well, we didn't know, nobody said nothing. So so that's one of the complaints we've heard time and time again.
So it's important that we know who these people are. There's key players. You don't have to know every single person, but you need to know the key players that are coming out.
The majority leaders, the president of the Senate, the ones that can have influence on voters,
on others, right? Because listen, Representative Alex Rizzo, and I'm going to keep bringing this up.
That's the guy with the don't videotape the police officers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want people to forget. He's in the regular session that starts in January. He's trying to bring out HB 11, which is basically he wants y'all to just stop videotaping police officers.
Well, I think he said that he wants you to maintain a certain distance.
Well, 30 feet. 30 people. He wants you to maintain 30 feet distance and then he's going to make it where it becomes a crime because now you're stopping a police officer in the middle of his job.
Allegedly. Yeah, it's going to be obstructing an officer from performing their duties.
Mind you, these are the same officers that we've been begging for years for them to turn on their body cam. Some turn them on, some don't turn them on, some turn them off, and there's no
fall down during the
consequences. Yeah. So and we know as people of color that these videos is what we use, number one, for safety, to protect ourselves. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. And then number two, when we're filing lawsuits and or complaints, we have to show proof. The burden falls on us.
And then the thing is, like, the video is another voice, right? Because if it's your word against the cop, most of the time you're gonna lose, right? They're gonna take the police officer's word over yours, which in some respect you understand that because you want to believe that you have law enforcement officers that are honest, right? And so you want to be able so the legal world, the courts, judges, whoever, they want to be able to take the word of a police officer because their credibility is everything. So if it does come down to a person, just a regular citizen saying something against a police officer, particularly if it's negative to the police officer, you want it to be that the officer is telling the truth because the whole system relies on that level of honesty, right, and candor in the profession. So you understand that, but the videos have really been able to tell another side of the story.
And not only does it tell another side of the story, it also tells the truth.
It tells the story.
The video doesn't lie. And what you see is what it is. And so we, as people of color, have been relying heavily on these. I mean, can you imagine if we had videotape back when Emmett Till and all those people, just the atrocities or whatever? I'm telling you, things would be so different because people would have been watching what they're doing and holding themselves accountable. What a crazy.
All right, so let's talk about this videotape stuff and whether or not, I mean, it is telling the story, right? But what are we witnessing right now, right? We're witnessing people telling us like we ain't see what we saw, right? Because there are two very high profile trials that are taking place right now as we speak, right? We have the trial of the McMichael father, son, and their friend William Bryant, who's responsible for the death of Ahmaud Arbery. We have the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that's going on, who this young man crossed state lines, went and killed 2 people and shot and injured another. And there's video of what happened. Like, there's video of what happened. And if you listen to the prosecutors and if you listen to the defense attorneys, you're like, are they looking at the same video? Because they're both telling like some very different stories than what the video shows, right? So the video has really come a long way because at least there's some images of what it is that took place, right? And you don't necessarily have to only rely on the person's word. But now they're even trying to tell you the video ain't the video. Even in the Rittenhouse case, for example, there's a still photo of like him having a gun in his hand where he shot the guy, right? The defense attorney is making some argument about, oh, the photo is Photoshop. They did some trickery because he's right-handed and that was a left-handed gun and this and that. I'm just like, what are you talking about, man? There goes the video. So even with the videos coming a long way and really shedding light on a lot of what people of color had been talking about and abuses that they've been suffering at the hands of law enforcement. Now, and I'm a lawyer too, and I'm kind of like disgusted by some of what these lawyers are doing in court. They're trying to make you they're basically saying that you didn't see what you saw. Like, I mean,
it's beyond disturbing. The antics in both cases.
It's antics for real.
It's beyond disturbing, and in both cases. And this is going to be part of our Two Americas, the Caucasity Corner, right? Videos we know has come a long way, yes, and just like co-host was saying, yeah, they are trying to make you see something that you didn't see. I mean, even in the Chauvin case, that attorney tried to make us believe what we were seeing in the video was not what was really actually captured.
For a whole 9 minutes and 9 minutes and 29 seconds, when you see that man just killed that dude right there on the streets.
I'm just saying.
And we didn't see him stop moving, and the guy just stayed on his neck for like another 2 minutes. Okay, we didn't see that either.
No, we didn't see that either.
I tell you.
So, but now, because now they're not effective in trying to manipulate us into believing something else than what we see with our own two eyes, you have people like Representative Alex Rizzo, who is now basically saying, hey, we're going to make
recording.
You're going to make it a second-degree misdemeanor, and we're going to charge you $500 fine or 60 days in jail.
We don't need that angle.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And so to my people, because there is a majority in the Florida legislature, the Democrats do not have the numbers. This will most likely pass in the state of Florida. Okay. Yeah. And it would effectively make you have a police record for second degree misdemeanor. Just for videotaping a rogue police officer. That's where we're at now.
Because if they acting right, they shouldn't be worried about what the camera, with the recording.
Why your body cam ain't on? Your body cam should be on.
But it's a different angle because remember, like, I think it's still important for people to videotape, right? Because the body cam is only showing one angle. Because if again, I spent a lot of time. I watched, I think, probably all of the Derek Chauvin trial. These two, I couldn't do it. It was just, first of all, it's two trials going on at the same time. They having about anywhere from 5 to 6 hours of testimony. That ain't what I get paid to do. Now, if I got paid to do it, I'd have been watching all of it, right? But I don't get paid to do that, so I haven't been able to watch all of it. But I did definitely watch all of the closing arguments because I wanted to at least hear how it is that they wrapped up the case. Hear how they wrapped up the case. But yeah, it's one of the things that we know. One of the points that I wanted to make about what I saw even in the closing arguments was that they were showing video, right? And they were showing video from different angles, right? Somebody had a drone. There was like some business that had a camera. So it's important to see all of the different angles. So yes, it's important for the police officer to have on their body cam video cameras also, but that only shows one angle from the perspective of like in front of the law enforcement officer. So if somebody's recording from the left and the right and the back and all of that, all of it comes together because then they can watch all of those videos, put it together and get a clearer picture of what it is that happened. You know, just like that instant replay in football, you know, sometimes you need to see that other angle to see what really happened. So I think all of the recording is significant.
You gotta see what's going on.
You see all of it.
So listen, this is why it's important for those who are watching that you start and you stay politically involved and engaged, right? Because as you can see, people like Representative Alex Rizzo, who's all the way in Hialeah, will be presenting a bill that affects us all.
The entire
state. So, it's important that you know who these people are. And if you got family members in Miami and Hialeah, you might want to tell him when he's up for re-election, he has got to go.
Peace out.
He got to go. I mean, that's detrimental. That's detrimental. And there's plenty of people of color in Hialeah. I'm just saying this is what it is. All right. So moving right along, they are still accepting applications, everyone. Still accepting applications for rental assistance and or utility assistance stemming from the pandemic. If you are interested and you need some assistance, please go to www.ourflorida.com. There's nothing but explanations on there on how you can get your rent paid for up to 12 months, I believe, as well as, light bill, water bill. They will be asking you for some items to give proof of. But they have response or questions. If you have questions, like let's say that you get paid straight cash, you don't have paycheck stubs, all that other stuff, they have a whole list of things that you can provide in addition to or in place of in order to get these monies. After it's all said and done, Florida will have had $1.56 billion of money of aid to be dispersed. As of now, they've only dispersed between 10 and 15% of this money. Let me repeat it again. They've only dispersed 10 and 15% of this money.
I think when you first started talking about it, they was at 4%. So
they were at 2%.
Okay, well, hey, it's getting done. They at least they're giving it up now, because when you first started talking about it, I think it was like 2%. It was 2%. So we're here for it.
So jump on that, ourflorida.com.
And it's for landlords and tenants.
Landlords
and
tenants. And if you have a rental property, you can apply for that as well. So I suggest you all jump on that, get part of that. That is, I don't want people saying, well, they didn't provide us with nothing. Yes, it's out there. We're telling you. I'm not sure if they're advertising it like they should, but I'm telling you there's money there, and you should go and get what you need, and get your 12 months paid for. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna switch gears into systemic racism and how it affects our everyday life, and then that's just gonna segue into this Two Americas in the Caucasity Corner. So listen, So co-host and I were talking about systemic racism and we want to keep it alive. And so what we're going to start doing.
Well, I mean, it's alive. We just want to talk about it because, we try not to drink.
We have a whole group that's trying to make it look like that's not that.
We try to drink. We try not to drink. So we just going to go ahead and express it and just kind of talk about it sometimes.
Listen, we're going to continue on in every show. Unless we have a guest on the show, we'll be continuing on, and we're
talking about guests. We may have a special guest on December.
We will be having a candidate for Senate District 33, and that candidate is Dr. Rosalind Osgood. She will be joining us Wednesday, December 1st, at 5:30. And we have reached out to all the candidates except for District 88, which I will be start to reaching out to them tomorrow. And we will get so far Dr. Rosalind Osgood is the only one who's confirmed. So we're waiting for Miss Eden.
Terry Eden,
Terry Eden and Miss.
You know what I heard? Terry Eden put her name up to get appointed to the Broward Commission.
Oh, really?
Yep. Patricia Williams too. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Patricia Williams that ran for state attorney?
No. That was Teresa Williams. So Patricia Williams is from Pompano. She's in Pompano.
Oh, Patricia Williams in Pompano.
In Pompano, yeah. She put her name in to be considered for the commission seat that's been vacated by both Barbara Sharif and Dale Holness because they ran for District 20 and did not win.
Well, Well, co-host, you had that good, delicious little bit of intimacy.
It's about 4 or 5 other names. There's an article about 4 or 5 names. But I knew the Terry Eden and Patricia Williams put their name up for consideration.
I'm okay. Listen, I'm about it. Okay.
So I wonder if she gets appointed to the commission seat. I'm talking about Miss Eden, whether or not she's going to withdraw from the Senate 33 race.
But she already qualified for the Senate 33 race.
But I mean, if she gets, why would if you like this? That would be absolutely ridiculous if she got appointed and she was still trying to run for a whole nother job. You know what I'm saying?
True.
What you want to do? What you really want to do?
What do you think? I saw her on an interview in another platform, and I thought she did pretty good. Being on the commission seat, I don't know. I think they need new people. I think they need to shake it up there. Shake it up on the commission seat. Shake it up in Broward County.
She said she could work with Democrats and Republicans. So
I feel like anybody should be able to work with Democrats and Republicans. You should be able to work with anybody. You ain't got to like them, but you got to respect them, and you should be able to work with them. That's how I feel. Like you know, we can't shun people because they don't share the same ideology, but you should be able to work with them.
Okay, work with you too. Right, because even she said that. Because remember, because I know an interview you were talking about where you saw her. Right, there was a question about why hasn't she worked with Rosalind Osgood, Dr. Rosalind Osgood, for example, and some of people in Fort Lauderdale, because she's really active in Pompano, and she was basically saying like, it's not me. They don't want to work with me, right? Because she didn't say that she didn't want to work with them. She said they didn't want to work with her. So sometimes even if you may be willing to work with somebody, but if they're not willing to work with you and cooperate, then that ain't necessarily that you're the one that's not doing your part. They may not be doing that part and making it extremely difficult. So
well, that's
what I'm saying. They may not want to work with her.
We did reach out to Miss Eden. We also reached out to Mr. Carter Joseph. He is the Republican candidate for District 33.
What did he call himself? The conservative pimp or something? Am I making stuff up?
Yeah, you are. He did not.
What did he say? What did he call himself? He called himself something.
He was talking about other woman who's a Republican, and he was calling her the biggest. What did he say? I don't want to misquote.
Okay, all right. So I don't mean okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to call you no conservative pimp. I'm sorry. I know he called himself something, and I'm sorry.
He called that other lady. He was calling her like she the bomb.com, Republican. I can't remember.
He was saying something about the fact that he's some kind of like cool, slick conservative or something like that. He called himself something. We're gonna have to look it up and figure out exactly what he used. But he used the term that was trying to make him seem like even though he's a Republican and he's conservative, he kind of all that.
And a bag of chips.
Maybe he got some seasoning, some spice or something.
We ain't dream killers. We ain't dream killers. So that's how he see himself. Then that's how he see himself. All right.
All right. So sorry, sir, that I called you a conservative pimp.
Yeah, that was a mistake. And it wasn't like nobody.
It was something though. He called himself something.
No, what he said was.
What did he say? What did he call himself?
He didn't call himself nothing. What he had said was
okay. All right.
He said he was talking about another woman and that's my fault because I was telling co-host what I read. So he said the most banned woman in the world and the swaggiest Republican in America.
Oh, so he's the swaggiest Republican.
He's the swaggiest Republican.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It wasn't conservative pimp. All right. So I knew he said something. So he's the swaggy Republican.
All right. He's a Republican and he's the swaggiest Republican in America.
All right, sir. Okay.
Get it right.
Okay, so, my bad. Swaggy Republican. Okay.
Swaggiest Republican. So we reached out to him. And we're waiting, to see if they get back. And then we also reached out to the Senate District 94 group. We have Elijah Manley. We have Rod Kemp. We have Josephus Egliston III. And then we also have Daryl Campbell. And so reached out to those brothers, and hopefully we'll get them to come on. And we're all about talking to the candidates. We will be reaching out to the District 88 group. That's the ones that are going to be running to take over Omari Hardy's seat. And then, and see if they would like to come talk to us too, because we want to hear what they got to say.
And we got to even see if we could talk to the ones who want to become on the Broward Commission. That would be interesting to see why they think they should be appointed to that particular seat. Because even though they're not running for the seat right now, one of the things, even when you get appointed, you have to try to get reelected. Once your term is over. And the person that's going to take over Dale's seat, they're going to be there probably, I think, another 3 years, because I think his seat isn't up until 24. But Barbara's seat is up in 22. So that person has a quick turnaround in trying to get reelected. Well, actually, Barbara termed out. So, but I don't think it matters that she termed out. They will be able to run for that seat. Yeah. She could not have ran for it again. But yeah, they'll have to run for that seat since they're a different person.
They still have to run. So, that's good news to me. I'm okay. All right. Okay. I'm about it. I'm for it. Okay. So listen, we all know that systemic racism, this issue permeates throughout every aspect of American life, right? Forget what you thought, forget what you heard, what the majority is telling you, that's not something true. Forget that. We know as Black folks that this is something that permeates through all our aspects. We would like to discuss how and what are some of the things we can do to highlight and fight against this system, right? And as we continue on with our show, we'll be giving you examples, facts, resources to look up and read and learn, video clips, and everything we can to help our people understand why this is systemic, right? And what caused it to be systemic. And I think it's important because when you understand that part, you will be more effective when you start to get involved politically, right? Because that you have a foundation now, and you're able to articulate and advocate effectively when you're dealing with that. So we're going to continue on trying to talk about that, but I want to bring up an example.
So about the Broward Commission, Michael Udane has been appointed the new mayor of Broward.
Yes. I forgot to mention that.
Yes. That's your area.
Yes, that So don't they take turns and also the school board has a new chair and a new vice chair. I
know Patty Good is the vice chair
and Rich Levinson is the chair now.
Yeah.
So now on the school board you have new chairs and co-chairs. So things are changing around here, and people are being appointed and or chosen to positions of leadership within their groups. So pay attention to that. So yes, Michael Udane is now the mayor of Broward County. I'm not sure who his vice mayor is. I didn't hear about who that would be.
Let's see. I was trying to see if it said who it is. It's not in this.
It's not in that one.
Lamar Fisher. Yeah, Lamar Fisher as the county's new vice mayor. He's a former mayor of Pompano Beach, narrowly beat Nan Rich for the spot. Okay, so it's Lamar Fisher.
Lamar Fisher is vice mayor, and Michael Udane is mayor of Broward County.
Changes that. So you know what I want? With these appointments that's coming up, I think that the story about that Morgan Pompano, I think it's gonna happen. Because they didn't talk about it on November 4th, because they said we're looking for a new location. I think with those people leaving, that whoever ends up there,
I hate to say it, I have to agree with you.
They may not care about the will of the people, and there's gonna be a whole forensic lab / morgue on that site in Pompano. I think that narrative's gonna change. Dale Holden's not there no more, and Barbara Street's not there. I mean, other people.
let's see who the appointees are. Because if the appointees, listen, you gotta give people a chance. If the appointees are if Terry happens to get that or whatever, she may be a force to be reckoned with for that morgue.
She better be, because she said she'd be working for the people.
I'm just saying.
The people don't want it.
If it's Patricia Williams, is she's the same district or no?
She's also from Pompano. She's in Pompano too, so she should be.
Okay. Well,
we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, but I have to tell you, co-host, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about that morgue. Very concerned. Okay, so listen.
Yes.
Into the systemic racism. I'm talking about back in 1765.
Girl, you going all the way back there? Why you want to talk about old stuff? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That is the theme, right? That we should talk about old stuff. That's the
Can we talk about old stuff?
But this is the history of this country. So
okay.
This happened here. This didn't happen in nobody else's country.
It's old stuff though.
1765, back in Virginia. Virginia had a statute. It was even a law. It's called a Casual Killing Act. And I have to tell you, when we talk about systemic racism, these type of statutes and or laws that are in books, and some of which, believe it or not, are still on the books. But those states choose to ignore them, but they're still there. And if anybody really wanted to use those statutes and or laws, they could. But these type of laws and statutes are what we talk about the foundational premise for systemic racism, right? So this Casual Killing Act was created out of necessity when slave owners would punish their enslaved to the point of death. And what I mean by that is that, people were beating enslaved people to death. And so they had to enact this statute or this law to protect the slave owners from any kind of prosecution, right? And further research shows that this Casual Killing Act was mainly for white women who were beating Black children, enslaved Black children, to the point of killing them. And that was a statute. That was a law. That was something that white women can use as a defense. And so when we talk about systemic racism, laws that you see, for instance, we can use the case that's going on with you have a visitor. Rittenhouse and the trial of the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery. What threw me was the judge allowed Kyle Rittenhouse to choose at random jurors for his case.
So let me clarify that. Okay, so that's kind of what he did, but then
clarify too much, because what I'm saying is she's gonna cry. She's gonna clarify for you.
Okay, so what had happened was, so usually when you have a trial, you have alternate jurors, right? That's always the case. If you have a jury of 6, you usually have 2 alternates, whatever. So this was a jury of 12, and so there was 6 alternates there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes what they usually do is like the alternates are clearly identified, like these are the 12, and then people know who the alternates were. But in this particular case, they didn't necessarily do that. And one of the reasons why is because usually if the person know that they're the 6th alternate, the chances of them ever having to for them getting seated is so unlikely that they may not be paying attention to what's going on, because for you to get rid of like 5 people and then you on your 6th alternate, it doesn't really happen. So then alternates sometimes may not pay as much attention. So I believe in this particular case, they did not let the alternates know who they were, so everybody would pay attention to the case. So what would happen is that, they would put the names in a hat, and then the clerk would be the one to just randomly draw names that they can't see. You can't see the name. It's for the piece of paper. They pull out the name, the 12 names they pick out. That would be the jury, the jury that's going to go and deliberate to make a decision, as opposed to just the first 12 people that were seated being the jury that's going to, the jurors that are going to deliberate the case. So again, typically it's something that the clerk does. For whatever reason, this judge thought Kyle should be the one. It's like, oh yeah, close your eyes and stick your hands in and just kind of pull out the 12. Like, I mean, why? But there are a lot of some legal scholars did look into that, and they said that even though the judge did that, it's a really bad look. It's not a basis, it's not reversible error. Like, there will be like no consequence for that. Like, they did it.
So here's my okay.
I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand.
It's to me, like I said to you on the phone when we spoke earlier. To me, that judge is giving, I'm gonna do what I want, how I want it, within the legal bounds that I have, and I don't care who got a problem with it.
I think he's stepping close to the line. Not even like, he's like on the line. But and he's doing that and he's on camera. So for me, as a person that's been in court and have listened to many clients tell me that they got railroaded by a judge, like they were like, nah, that judge railroaded. I felt like I was set up and all of that kind of stuff. I can see how someone could feel that way based on this judge's behavior. Mm-hmm. Mind you, he's acting like this and people are watching him. Imagine, to me, I'll be like, well, what you do when ain't nobody looking? So this whole idea, when people talk about like, yo, I feel like I got railroaded, he will make you believe that those types of things happen. And I believe that there are going to be some folks that's going to be filing some stuff with whoever the judicial conduct committee or whatever it is, to look into how the kind of case, because they're gonna be like, you know what? I felt like something was happening in that case. I couldn't explain it, I couldn't see it, but based on what he did there, they're gonna have him looked at. They're gonna look at his cases, how he was sentencing people, all that. Because he also had made some comments about like if it was a bench trial. Because that's a trial by jury, and what a bench trial is that sometimes people opt to have their case heard only by the judge and waive their right to a jury trial, and so the judge listens to all of the evidence and make the decision on the case. And there was some comments that he made that, oh, if this is a bench trial, how he would have handled some of the evidence. I'm like, dude, like, why you? But okay,
it's the. And there's not just that, Sandra. Remember when we were talking on the phone, there was something else that was very just disturbing and unfair, is when he's, and I know you said you spoke to someone who's covering the case, and historically these are some things that defense attorneys always ask for. But the fact that the judge made it clear that the victims in the case could not be called victims, right? They couldn't be called victims because it would be prejudicial against Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, we talked about this. To me, I'm like, you can't have it both ways. So you can't say in one breath that you can't call the victims, victims, but you can call them. But then you turn around and say, call them. You don't even say call them by their names. Or, then you say you can reference them as rioters or agitators or whatever. So how is that you can't call them victims, but then you can, label them as rioters, and that's not prejudicial to the state? You don't want you don't want it to be prejudicial to the defense, but you're okay being prejudicial to the state.
Yeah. So they don't want to say that because they don't. So it's really not supposed to be. It's not really going to be considered prejudicial to the state, because the state is the one that has the burden of proving that this person that they charged with the crime is actually guilty of the crime.
I knew you was going to say that.
Yeah, but the part that's real tricky about this, if he's found not guilty because of the things that the judge did, jeopardy has attached and the state can't retry him on the case. That's it, but I guess the judge is saying like, your case should be so strong that no matter what I do, this person, if he guilty, the jurors are smart enough to see past all the nonsense that I'm doing and find him guilty if that's in fact the case.
And that, ergo, ladies and gentlemen, is the caucasity of it all.
All right. And so I was listening. So the defense has started in the case of the McMichaels father, son, and their friend Brian, right? And I believe the son McMichaels was testifying today. I didn't get to see all of it because there were some motions that's being heard in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and since I got invested in the closing arguments, I'm kind of paying attention now because the jurors have requested to watch a piece of video. Right, they want to see a video
for the Rittenhouse case. For the
Rittenhouse case, so I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm sorry. So they had requested to see part of a video, and it turns out that there's two versions of the video. One that's clear; it's the same video, but there's one version that's clearer than the other one. And so the defense is trying to say because they didn't get the clear version of the video, it's prejudicial. Da 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 da. And but the state is saying like, well, they saw it already. So if they want to see it again, let them see it again. The clear one, the unclear, just let them see it again. And that's becoming so that's becoming an issue. And usually when cases, jurors are taking a long time to make a decision on a case, it's favorable to the defense. So that would suggest that they may be looking to find him guilty, right? We don't know if that's the case. But there's a tricky thing. So the defense attorneys have asked for a mistrial in the case, and they've asked for a mistrial with prejudice, right? So say the jury comes back, and the judge is like, I don't want to rule on this until there's a verdict or something like that, right? But there's one scholar that said that, if they find him guilty, if they find him guilty, then I guess that would stand. But then they were trying to say that the judge may say like, no, he can vacate the jury's decision and say, no, there was misconduct that happened in this case. The reason why they came to that guilty verdict was because some of the improper things that happened. He can declare a mistrial. And if he does that with prejudice, then that would mean that the state can't try him for that case again, which is, I hope that judge don't do that. Because one of the comments that judge also made was that, we don't give jurors enough credit. They're very smart people. So the decisions that they have to make, we need to let them make that. So he said those two things too. But I actually was first going to talk about the McMichaels son. So when he was testifying about right before he shot Ahmaud Arbery, he was saying how he had pulled the gun on Ahmaud. Ahmaud was reaching for the gun. He got scared because he thought Ahmaud could take the gun from him and then shoot and kill him. So that's why he shot him first, right? And all I kept thinking, like, so you done started some mess. You realize you're in over your head, and then now you're going to go kill the man. And all you have to do is leave him alone in the first place. But that's the point I was going to make.
Well, it's the same thing with Kyle. It's the same
of it all. I'm like, dude, you went bothering that dude. Now you scared and you going to kill him? It's
the same thing with Kyle. Kyle came from West Bubble. I was going to say a bad word. Kyle came from whatever the hell he was coming from, drove over state lines.
Yep.
Okay.
Getting into grown people business.
All right.
And now he wants to be called a kid.
Mama drove him over. You come to
mama say she didn't.
What happened?
I think someone said the mama said she didn't drive him over there.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. But he still went in. He still got in the grown people business.
You left your cozy home with an AR-15
with bullets that can go through the bulletproof vest. The bullets that he had in that gun can go through bulletproof vest. It can like go through a person and hit somebody else. Like that's how. Yeah, that part.
My thing is that you leave from where you at. Mm-hmm. You leave your home. You travel miles to another state. Mm-hmm. You whip out your gun.
Wait, to protect property, nonetheless.
To protect property, as if life.
You are never allowed to kill nobody to protect property,
ma'am. So you do that. And you come over state lines. Not only do you claim that because they attacked you, you shoot them. You don't just shoot them once to disable them. You shoot them guys. You shoot to kill.
Yeah.
You and then you come over the person.
And he knew the person was unarmed. He knew the person was unarmed. The person he shot, the first person he shot, did not have a weapon. He know he didn't have a weapon, and that's why the defense was saying arms and legs can be weapons. Ain't nobody said that dude was a ninja.
It's the goddamn caucasity for me.
It's a nerve.
It's the nerve.
And you start stuff that you can't finish, and now you're killing people.
That's what I'm saying. And then you sit on the stand with your fake crying, right? And by the way, Kyle, standing ovation.
And his mama, she raising money to help pay for his lawyers.
Standing ovation for your acting career, okay? Because that was wonderful. All right, claps for you. But you go on and you look as if you were
he the victim. Let him tell it. He the victim.
You have a baby face, and we supposed to feel sorry for you.
But you out here with AR-15 with bullets that go through bulletproof vests.
No, okay. I can't. I refuse. It's the level of caucasity for me.
Oh, let me give you another caucasity from the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Those defense attorneys, they're so lovely, right? So they was mad that Jesse Jackson was back in the courtroom again today.
Okay, ma'am. Oh, they try to remove
They mad again. They mad again. So they mad because Jesse Jackson was there, and apparently a female rabbi, Jewish rabbi, was in the courtroom too, and so they was mad about her. There's like just their mayor present is making some sort of social justice statement, right? I'm like, dude, y'all got a jury with 11 white guys on there and 1 black person, and you still worried that like how rigged you want this thing to be? Like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing, sir?
Yes,
so they're funny. Damn, too much.
It's too much. We got to keep saying the caucasity because it's the caucasity. Because how can you say? Then they want to file a mistrial.
So they want them to put. They said put Jesse Jackson in the overflow room. And yesterday they was mad that his mama was crying in the courtroom.
His mama was crying. How are you going to file for a
his mama was
crying? Who does that? Like, what are we doing? And then it's him being on camera and saying the word black pastors for me. That right
like, how many of them the family know?
Like, dude, are you serious? And then did you hear Al Sharpton? Al Sharpton said, "Oh, we got 150 that signed up to come, and we all gonna head down there for the, for the what you call it for the
well, they shouldn't all 150 go in the room at one time, and plus the judge would not allow that. He would not allow that.
It's the optics, honey. It's the optics.
But they would never allow all of them to come in the courtroom. That would be a whole problem.
They don't need to be in the room. They don't need to be in the room. They could be outside. They
don't need the jury. They do not want the jury to see them. Let me tell you, you do not want the jury to see 150 black pastors outside. You don't want that because they will declare a mistrial, and that will be a problem. There was a case in Dade County that one of my friends did, right? Let me tell you how the judge ended up declaring a mistrial, and because the case was kind of already shaky, the state decided not to refile, and the dude got out, and it was a homicide case. You know how like family members like to get the rest in peace shirts, and they have the angel wings with the person who died with the face. So like about 25 of the relatives decided to come into the courtroom with that t-shirt on, right? And they came in strong with the guy, and the jury saw the shirt. It was a whole problem. So by the time the judge was like, oh my God, what's going on? And sit the jury back, they had already seen the shirt. And so what that does, that's prejudicial because it makes it seem as though this person who died was like some good dude. He got all of this family. They're sad that he's gone. He has the angel. They have the thing with the angel wings or whatever. So it gives an impression of the deceased that the jury shouldn't have, because that's not evidence that's in the case, right? That's some outside thing that became problematic.
But I thought the jury was smart and they know better and all that.
Well, but that leaves an impression. Even if you may try to be like, you know what, I'm gonna forget the fact that 25 family members came in here deep for this dude and they all had the little angel shirt on, but it does leave an impression, and there's some things you can't make them not see that they saw that, right? So that was one thing. And then there was another issue with one of the witnesses that was trying to be too dramatic, and it was just like, it was ridiculous. The judge declared a mistrial. I don't think she knew that the state was going to decide not to file the case again, but she declared a mistrial, and then the state decided they were going to drop the case. So this, and I'm not going to say that defendant got away with murder, but he got away with murder. So all that to say, you don't want no 150 people pastors to show up and the jury see them. That's a problem. That is making a statement that the jury cannot miss. So you don't want to do that. I don't want them coming up there like that. Like that case literally got that judge. It was a one thing with the dramatic witness, which, you know, you can give jury instructions to kind of, you know, but then when those people rolled up in there 25 deep with their t-shirts on, that was a problem.
When the Derek Chauvin case, I don't think the witnesses were dramatic, but I thought that it was dramatic enough for it to be prejudice. How do you say?
Not the witnesses. The problem is that man killed George Floyd in front of children. Like once the kids started telling the story, like they just telling the story. And then
I know, but like, you know, what I mean by when you saying the witness, was they over dramatic? Is that what you were saying? That they were
she was over dramatic. Yeah, she was over. You know, those kids were just telling the story, and it was so heart-wrenching that it just felt. So those kids weren't acting; they were just telling it as they saw it. No, this person she was doing. She was on Team Too Much right there.
Oh, yeah, she was Team Too Much. Okay,
yeah, she was Team Too Much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Derek Chauvin trial, that stuff was just sad. It was just sad.
I think the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial is just as sad because you have a mom who, the only reason why you see so many people there to support her is because she doesn't have that much family, right? And so the pastors are there to be the uplifter. But I feel like the level of disrespect, and I'm glad that the judge is kind of like, you know, making sure that he checked these defense attorneys. But you can't ask for a mistrial because a woman is
crying for the death of her son.
Crying for the death of her son. And it was a senseless death. It's not like it was an accident, or, you know, we can see how, you know, this may not go. This was blatant murder. You dragged him, you followed him, and you basically dragged him down the road. So when she hears new things that she wasn't aware of in the beginning, any mom would break down and cry. It's the level of this. Like, some things as a defense attorney, you'd be like, I'm not gonna touch that. That's just like too much. You know what I mean? Like you're defending.
I mean, you know, again, so they are supposed to zealously represent their clients, right?
Not on some bullshit. I mean,
but part of that is like how they're so clueless to like how disrespectful what it is that they're saying, right? Like, that's one of them things. Like, I think any other, like another attorney of color or one that has some sensitivity and compassion would have realized that I'm not going to go talk about this mama crying over her child. Like, even if you are zealously advocating for your client, that's an expected response. And you should understand that the jury can understand why this woman would be upset that she lost her child. Like, right, it was just absolutely too much. But that just goes to show you how like they don't get it. And I mean, it's not an excuse or for them not getting it. They really need to figure out a way to get it. But you can just tell, it's like, yo, like, do you not get it? Like, what's wrong with you? You can zealously represent your client, but not do this.
Yeah, and even with, as much as I dislike Derek Chauvin's attorney, when those children were on the stand, he didn't even touch. He was like, no, I don't got no questions.
I'm gonna just talk to somebody else. Right, he left that alone. He left it alone.
I mean, even the teenagers, the ones that were like young adults or whatever, you can see how he skirted around the questions. Like, he did not come full throttle on them.
Because
the child, he was like, no, we don't have the questions.
And even the lady that was like, she was like a firefighter or EMT or whatever. Remember the lady who came in with her uniform? He was like, I'm gonna stop talking to her. He was reading the room. he read the room.
As much as I dislike him, at least he had that little bit of integrity where he was like, I'm not gonna talk to the kid. I'm not gonna question the baby. I'm not gonna question this person right here. I'm gonna, we're gonna keep it to the facts, because I'm not trying to, come out looking like what you call it, like it's already bad.
Yeah.
But this fool,
he didn't mess with the children, and he didn't. Yeah.
I just can't. And so, we're still having contention with this CRT, critical race theory. It's a contentious yet a continuous debate. It's a continuous debate. And I think it's important that we all know what critical race theory is. So
so remember, I don't know if you were telling me this or you sent me something. One of the mistakes that they were saying that the Democrats make, right? That even though critical race theories is not being taught in schools, right? The Democrats should not ignore it, right? They're like, don't ignore it. You gotta explain how like this is not being taught in schools. Right, to just ignore it is causing more of a problem than actually talking about it.
Absolutely, and educating people, and that should be the Democrats' talking point and or messaging. Educating people on what that is and why it's not in K through 12, and why parents shouldn't come to school board meetings and basically threaten school board members to an inch of their life over something that is not even being taught in school.
A non-issue. Yeah.
And if those parents currently have an issue with what history is being taught or whatever books they're using, and it gives the impression that they're putting white people in a bad light or whatever, we can't change the facts. The facts are the facts. It is what it is. White people enslaved Black people. White people who were slave owners killed, mutilated, raped, pillaged Black people. It's not a lie.
But they didn't all do best. Of one of the things that's also an issue that's really of concern is like the fact that they weren't able to enslave those individuals for so many years. They've benefited financially and in terms of power as a result of it. So stop trying to act like that you didn't get no benefit that you continue to reap as a result of what happened. And that's the real conversation, right? Like, okay, so we knew it happened. Yes, you tortured folks. That wasn't you today. It was like your great-grandpa that did that, right? So, okay, fine. But what you need to understand is that you're continuing to benefit from that system, right? And we talked about this before. Like this summer, I took a trip to Charleston, South Carolina. I'm telling you, I was straight like, that place right there is, you see it. You actually see the consequences of enslaved people, right? You see the wealth that the people who family was making money off the backs of others, and you see the poverty that continues to exist by people who are not allowed to be a part of the process, not allowed to own money, not allowed to own land. You see it. Like that's what happened. So that's all people want y'all to understand. Like at least understand the history of it to say, yes, you did benefit from this system. You continue to benefit from this system, and there needs to be some sort of shift because it's unfair, right? It's not equal. If we're really trying to deal with equity, you got to first acknowledge, yes, you did benefit. And then we have to figure out like how do we move forward from that. So nobody wants to talk about what your great grandpa did. That ain't what we talking about. The violence that was associated with it. That's really not the true conversation. The true conversation is like y'all benefited. Here's how. So let's try to find a way to really deal with some equity in this situation.
So while what you're saying is the main thing about what's going on, but you can't have that conversation without having the conversation of, how they got that way. Because I think one of the concerns is parents when the smaller kids was like, well, why were they in bondage, or why were they in slavery and whatever? Those questions have to be answered, and they have to be explained at, obviously at a level that the kids will understand. But those are questions that come out because let me just explain something to you. My child is in middle school. And one of the things she was telling me, she's like, oh, I hate this class. And I said, well, why do you hate the class? She's like, oh, the kids in there are so annoying. I said, well, what about the kids? She's like, well, the boys. I said, well, what about the boys? She's like, they make racist jokes and it's not funny. And they make these inappropriate jokes with girls or whatever. I said, well, what kind of racist jokes they make? So she says, well, Mom, how some people have turbans and thing or whatever. She said they'll make jokes about all these terrorists and this, that, the other, and label everybody the same. And then she said they'll use the N-word. I said, well, are the kids black or white? And she says, well, they're white. And I said, well, in what way do they use the N-word? And she'll say, and it's such a derogatory way. But when you look at it, so you're talking about 11-year-olds, right? 12-year-olds or whatever the case is. They're just out the mouth saying whatever because they learn it from home. And there's no understanding behind it. There's no understanding behind it. And
it depends on who's like how they learning it from home, because they could understand 100% what they saying, right? So if that's being taught in their house, then they understand it.
From their home's perspective.
From their home, yeah. Right. I'm not saying it's right. So if they're walking around talking about people with turban and using the N-words and all that stuff, and they getting that information out of their house, they fully understand what it is that they're doing now. Some things may happen where, you know, a lot of times parents, you know, social media and, you know, the television and all this, you know, is what's raising kids. And that's how they're getting some of that information. So you may have a child that's repeating something that they heard that they don't understand. So it could be an example of that. But I think if it's coming out of their house, they know. They know and they understand. They got it from a TikTok video, because some of these videos be talking about some crazy stuff, right? Like I've seen some clips and I'm like, my daughter was saying something the other day. I'm like, what did you just say? And I don't think she understands what it is that she said. But those clips and those songs that they got people dancing to, they're saying some very like some of it is extremely offensive. It's a lot of it is sexist, misogynistic, all of that kind of stuff, but they don't really understand that. They're just repeating. So it could be a combination of those two things that are happening. But I would want to know what the teacher in the room is doing.
Well, here's the thing. So my thing is, I tagged you on a clip with a parent who was talking about why it shouldn't be in the school, and which is not. She's talking about different books that they pick out to talk about the history of slavery in the country. And one of her things is she says, well, you know, you can teach about the history, but we shouldn't really teach about racism. So, and the guy said, well, what do you mean don't teach about racism? She's like, well, I don't. She's like, he said, well, what about older kids? She's like, well, yeah, sure. Older kids can read about it, but I think we should teach them about history, but we shouldn't teach them about racism.
So let's just call it the unfair power dynamic. How about that?
They shouldn't learn
about race.
They said they shouldn't learn about racism until they're in college. Okay, but so how do you then explain to a child when they're displaying racist behavior? Mm-hmm. Well, how do you explain that to a child?
I mean, you can have like a whole intellectual conversation about this. Because for one thing, right, like race ain't real, right? Race is a social construct. It's not a real thing. Mm-hmm. Geneticists don't recognize race. Race is not a thing. That's some stuff that they made up to have this social structure that's unfair, right, in the United States. So if she's like, oh, we don't want to talk about race, we're like, okay, well, we don't have to talk about it because race ain't real anyway, right? But we can talk about all of this disparity. We can talk about this unfair, you know, all the unfair power. We can talk about how it's certain individuals that benefit from this structure that's happening here. So we don't have to call it race. We can call it, but we can still talk about this behavior. We can still talk about these consequences. So that's the conversation I would have. You don't want to call it race? That's all right.
So you have that, but then they're still gonna turn around and say, okay, well, you're still trying to make it look like one group is better than the other.
No, ain't nobody saying they better. We're just saying that one group is benefiting over others.
Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with that and say, well, you're making it look like one group is benefiting more than the other.
No, I'm making it look like it. That's what it is.
I'm just telling you, these are the pushbacks you're gonna get.
No, that ain't no pushback, and that's how I'm gonna respond to them. I'm not talking about what it looked like. I'm telling you about how it really is. And here's the data.
That's the narrative, and I'm glad you said that because I want people to listen to us have this dialogue as I'm giving you the devil's advocate side of it. Mm-hmm. These people will tell you that you're giving that narrative when it's not a narrative, it's facts, right? Facts. And well, no, that's not what you're doing, and you're still making it look like you're still making my child feel like
I'm just telling you like what's actually happening.
My child feel like they're wrong and they're bad.
Yeah, and you make my child feel bad all day because he don't belong on that assignment, and he the only black boy in the picture. How about that?
Let me tell you something. I am one of those parents that when my child comes home with something, I remember I told you about it. you told me about your story and I told you about my story. But when my child came home and one of her things says that the Native Americans gave away.
They chose to go south and gave the land to the French and the Spanish.
They gave it away.
They just left St. Augustine. They just left.
Hey, this is a gift. You can have it.
Y'all can have it.
I said to my child, I said to my child and the teacher, I said, well, what we not gonna do is give my kids half truths. That's what we're not gonna do. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you mark her wrong on that on the test. Mm-hmm. We're gonna take it. That's fine.
Yeah, because I told my son, does it make sense that somebody's gonna just give away 1 million acres of land for no compensation whatsoever, just because people just ask for it? That's how you want to tell that story? Okay.
So you now have parents like in Virginia, states in Virginia, Texas, whatever, that are nitpicking at books.
But why they blaming black people for that? That was like white people and Native Americans. That was the French and the Spanish and the Native Americans. Like, what black people got to do with that? Like, what?
Well, but that's still part.
Well, they did fight in St. Augustine, though. It was some Haitians that was involved in all that, but okay.
Well, they're still trying to make it look like that's critical race theory, and I will argue that if these books that are used to talk about slavery, these are added reading material to talk about slavery and the enslaved people here in this country, and you're saying that that's critical race theory, then we all have a problem, because that's history. This is nothing. There's no worm around. There's nobody trying to get over on somebody. There's no secret. There's no manipulation. This is what it is.
What happened?
This is what it is. You don't want your kid to learn about it? Hey, take your child out and homeschool your kid and teach your kid what you want. But let me tell you this. Homeschool material, okay, is worse in terms of completely erasing what happened in history. So your child won't learn anything. They just learn what you want them to learn, okay?
Yeah.
So we will continue to have this critical race theory conversation because we want to drive home the message and the facts that it's not being taught in K-12. It's not.
And it's barely taught in undergrad. Like, you would have to go seek that class. You would have to go look for that class in college to take it. You would have to go find a class that's talking about race for you to even learn about that in college. Okay, it's not part of core curriculum or anything like that.
Nothing.
Nope. And it's barely taught in law school. Even in law school, it's not required. You would also have to seek out a class that's dealing with race in law school for you to even learn it in law school.
The thing is, once they heard it and it was just thing, and then they went and they did their little Google search and they were like, oh, we can use this against them.
Yeah, that was in response to the social justice movement of last summer.
It's just a jump on the bandwagon. And we will talk a little bit more every week about how they're presenting critical race theory to their base. I sent it to Sandra, and Sandra's going to have some time to review it. The words they use,
all the buzzwords.
Woo, sis, you got to do mental gymnastics to kind of like combat and sift through the foolery. It's buffoonery when you really look at it. It's like, really, that's what we're doing?
That's what y'all doing. That's what they doing.
That's what they're doing. So listen, next week we won't have are we doing a show next week?
It's the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know. Maybe we'll replay something.
Yeah, maybe we'll replay something.
Yeah, we'll probably replay something.
See us, we'll be replaying a good clip.
Yeah. Maybe we'll replay the District 20 winners interview.
Yes, we could do that.
We'll play that.
We'll play the District 20.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I think I have a couple videos of her interviews, and so we can play those.
Absolutely. So the following week we'll have our special guest candidate for District 33, Senate District 33, Dr. Rosalind Osgood. We hope that you will join us to talk.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that interview.
We're looking forward to that interview. On News Flash, co-host mentioned that Terry Eden has put in her name for the
Broward Commission seats. One of the Broward Commission seats.
One of the Broward Commission seats. So we'll see.
Patricia Williams also.
Patricia Williams also.
I was trying to get the list, but the Sun Sentinel wants me to pay to read their article. I'm not in the mood.
So we have reached out to Miss Eden. Hopefully she'll return our message to see if she would still like to at least interview, because we don't know, everything is up for grabs. We've reached out to the District 94 candidates. We will be reaching out to
we don't want to make it seem as though like we reached out to them and they haven't, like, you know, and it's been a while. We reached out to them today. Yes. Okay. Yes. And so you know, it's not like we did that and we waiting on them. No, we reached out to them today and we're giving them an opportunity to respond to us.
And if they do respond to us in a timely manner, we may not be interviewing them on a Wednesday. We probably might try to spread it out a little bit. And so just look at our pages. We always update it with the information of our interviews, and you know, we'll try to get those people in as quickly as we can. So next week is the colonizers' holiday of Thanksgiving.
Lord.
It's called
people are like, you can make the day whatever you want it to be.
And I was going to say that. So to me, it's the colonizers' day of Thanksgiving, but
Lord.
For and you know, because it's a sore spot for the Native Americans. It's not a day that they celebrate.
Did they give it a different name? Because you know they changed the name of stuff, so it must be a new name for it.
I hope they have a different name.
Because I know they call the Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day now, so maybe there's a new name for Thanksgiving.
Maybe there is a new name for that day.
Let me check.
But for those who will be with their family,
so the 26th is called Native American Heritage Day.
Okay, so next week we'll be celebrating Native American Heritage Day. I prefer that better, and we're going to be coming together as a family. And if you're going to be together as a family with your family, talk about the things that make you listen. Life is short, as we can see from the pandemic. I think we should be grateful that we're still here. We should be grateful that we still have each other. But I really want you all to be very, very careful, because that pandemic and the virus is still very real. Protect your loved ones. As of the 20th, I believe all children will have optional to wear their mask. They don't.
So when they go back to school that Monday, which I think is the 22nd, they do not have to wear a mask.
They do not have to wear a mask. My children will be continuing to wear masks.
Mine too.
And social distance as much as they can. Because we believe, co-host and I can speak for her. We believe that precaution is, what was that thing you said with the Jamaicans say?
Prevention is better than cure.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
We strongly believe in that. And until we reach a level where the entire country is a place where the president says, hey, we're at a great place now, we can start getting our guards down, still practice precaution with your families. If you haven't taken the vaccine, we ask that you
consider it.
Seriously consider taking the vaccine. Those who are up for boosters, do that. Because listen, if 2020 can teach you nothing, is that life is very fleeting. Okay. We lost 750,000 people. That's a lot of
That's a lot of people. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people. Okay. It's a lot of people. And so when you hear people out there talking about it's a hoax or whatever, 750,000 people, that don't sound like a hoax to me.
That's a lot. And I think it's 5 million around the world or something like that, right?
It's a lot of people.
5 million around the world.
That's a lot of people. And it's senseless. When you really think about it, it's just stupid to me that people are dying from a disease that,
especially now, originally when people ain't know what it was, they ain't know what to do. Like the people that got caught up in the beginning, it's like they didn't know. But right now, not to say that you could be 100% careful, but you should at least take all the steps you can to prevent you from being one of those folks. So the folks in the beginning where they ain't know, there was no vaccine, there was no this, there was no that. It was unfortunate, right? Yes. But now we have so much more information. This year is very different. October 2021 is very different from what October 2020 was, because there was no vaccine at that time. There was, the treatment was different. That type of thing. People weren't sure what the symptoms were because they kept changing every day. But now it's so much more information, and we kind of know what we need to do to be at least careful. That we should really make an effort to be careful and at least do our parts, right?
That's right. and we're in this together. Like at the end of the day, we're in this together, and so we have to protect each other. So, although they passed this bill to forego the mandate that the government has given us in Florida, listen, still do your part, and those employees and employers that believe in the science, believe in the precautionary things that have been put in place. We support you.
The ones who think they should take their advice from the doctors instead of the politicians.
Well, all the doctors ain't all that okay. So because
those are the ones that are politicians too, right?
That Surgeon General in Florida,
right there. Man. Lord, they said UCLA is so glad he gone. They was like, thank you, Lord.
That Surgeon General, Jesus. All right, so next week, we're going to be celebrating Native American Heritage Day. But the week after, we're going to have a special guest, and we will continue on with our themes, which are starting and staying involved in political and in the political space, systemic racism and how it affects our everyday lives, and the two Americas, the Caucasity Corner. That is our theme. That is our platform. It may change, but for now, we're going to stay the course and look forward to seeing you all December 1st, God willing. And we're going to be out in this bad boy. We're going to be out. Any last words?
So I think District 1, 2, 4, and 8 are the ones that have seats that are up for school board. I think that's what they are. I know it's 8 for sure. I know it's 4. I know it's 1. It might be 2 or 3. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it's 1, 3.
Oh, it's 4 and 8,
1, and maybe 3. Is it 3 or 2?
It's 2, because 3 is Sarah Leonardi.
She just won, so it's 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, and 8.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had 2 people from District 1 and District 8 come, 2 candidates from those districts. And then you have District 4, and Nora Rubert is running for District 2. I won't believe. I'm hoping
She's running for her seat again.
Her seat is up for re-election. She's
not 8.
No,
she's not the at-large person.
No, Donna Corn is 8.
Donna Corn is the at-large person. She's the one that might not be running for her seat again.
Yes, okay. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, that she hasn't filed. So we'll reach out to those people also. And listen,
District 4 seems to be running unopposed, y'all. We need a candidate.
Nora Rubert is running unopposed too.
We need a candidate.
Both those
people together,
should not be running by unopposed.
Not at all.
Somebody needs to be running against them.
Somebody should be running against them.
I don't care what y'all say that they doing
they can work for their job.
You can always do better if they are doing a good job, and if they're not doing a good job, they have to have somebody
put that pressure on them.
Yep. So those 2 can't be running unopposed.
Should not be.
If y'all know anybody in those districts
that's willing to run, I'll go canvas with them. I'll go on these COVID streets.
Sure will.
Yes.
Sure will. They shouldn't be running unopposed. None of these candidates should be running unopposed. Not even the president of the United States. You should not be running unopposed. You need to have a challenge. Period. Point blank. This is America. For whatever it is. All right, then. So we're gonna leave y'all. We're gonna the next time we speak. After our interviews, we'll give you some resources. Co-host knows a lot of books.
I do.
You do. Okay. You do. Oh, and by the way, the 16.
I don't remember the name of all of them. I just read a lot of stuff.
She does.
Yeah.
The 1619 Project book is out. You can order it on Amazon.
As a matter of fact, they had an event in New York yesterday. And that's my friend's store. Like I know the people that own the Bedvine. Yes. I know them like really well. When I go to New Jersey, I stay at their house.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That event was beautiful.
Yeah. They did it at Bedvine.
Did they provide the food also?
Well, I don't know if they own the liquor, like because they have a wine place, a bar, and all that stuff. I just dropped something. Yeah, so they owned it. So they had the event. So they probably helped with the catering or whatever. But I know them. They're my peoples. That's like my other family.
Yep, it was beautiful. So if you all have an opportunity,
shout out to the Ekanoyes.
Yeah.
We'll see you and Ayo put that together.
Very nice.
That's
very nice. Yeah. If you haven't already, get your copy of the 1619 Project. I recommend it. I already got my copy. I know co-host, she always listens to her books.
Yeah, I'm an audiobook. I spend a lot of time in the car. So,
yeah. So she listens to her books, but I'm telling you, like, the best investment ever. Like, just go get that book. We'll talk about some other books that myself and co-hosts have been reading. Listen, it's always good to know about who you are in this country. The more you know, the better you are at advocating and being politically savvy, as well as educated in what's going on. So it's important that we do that. Okay, people? All right. So we're going to leave, y'all. We bid you adieu. Is that how I say it? You say it like that?
Yeah, I guess.
Bid you adieu. So we're going to put on our video and we're going to see y'all
next time.
All right. See
Bye.
Peace.